Yo, this is Terrell, Hall of Fame, D-Line. These are Bully Rants. This next question is more so, let's just call it breeding questions. And we'll start off with the age-old battle of natural versus surgical, AI in between, or whatever. As some of you know, I did do a little bit of medical schooling in this field, but the one thing I will say about this is, as a breeder and the little things that I do know about it, I'll tell you that I've always had success over the last almost 2 decades. Jeez. With the surgical, and for many reasons. For me, the surgical, well, not just for me, but in general, the surgical puts the semen right on top of the eggs, and although we never think about that thing, females have a lot going on down there, and sometimes, I've had doctors who said that they've opened up the female, even though she was in heat and everything, she didn't have eggs, so that's also something to be worried about. If a female has had puppies, her uterus and different things going on in there could scar up. I've seen that personally, where it's been scar tissue there from previous births and litters that have caused a blockage from the semen getting there. It's many different things that could go on, but I've seen nothing better than when you cut the female open, the doctor can actually see the eggs and put the semen right on top of the eggs. I know a lot of old school people, it's got to be a natural, but the reality is that the natural is not of a higher percentage than the surgical. And I guess that leads to the next thing is, a lot of people tend to want to bash the studs. I've had to deal with it a million times. Talking about, if the breeding doesn't take, the stud must not have been no good. To be honest, a lot of the times it's on the female, and it's on timing. If you're doing a progesterone test, typically around 5 is when the eggs drop. Once the eggs are dropped, it's still another 48 hours before the eggs are actually ready to be fertilized. Then you have typically a 72-hour window for the fertilization. Where the eggs can be fertilized. And a lot of people just try to guesswork. They talk about the 13th day all the time, or waiting for the bitch's blood to turn pink. And those are signs, and typically that can work. But I've had females that have went over a month, literally, and they weren't ready until a month's time. And I've had females that from the time I noticed, their numbers jump off the chart. She'll do one progesterone and they'll be at a 0.7, and you do another one 2 days later and they're already at a 5. So it's best if you're serious about making sure that your breedings take, get to a vet, do your progesterone test, and at the very least do your progesterone test. And I would recommend, if possible, do the surgical if you can. I guess more so as you go along, every dog is different. Another question is always the female's age. I don't like to go past 5 years old, and that's my own personal preference. I'm not knocking anybody who does whatever, because I've seen a lot of doctors and a lot of really good breeders from other breeds and stuff that have bred females that were 8 and 9 years old and have full litters. That's their thing. I just don't like it myself. But the doctors say if the female is healthy, that it really doesn't matter her age as much. So, that's my opinion. As far as the male goes, as long as the male is producing good, healthy, quality semen, the male could be 10 years old. If he's producing good, healthy semen, it's nothing. I don't understand the bashing that I see when people be like, oh, that dog is old, he needs to move on. I've heard it about Denzel before. I've seen other people jump on other people's posts about it. First of all, 7 or 8 years old is really not that old, unless you're breeding unhealthy dogs. With these dogs, they should be living in that 10 to 12 year range, and we've seen some of them go into the teens. So when you look at it from that perspective, if you're breeding a good healthy dog and your goal is to make this dog live the maximum amount of time that he should, 7 years might be halfway through his life, and as long as the dog is healthy, once again, he can be bred. But if y'all have any questions on this stuff, man, hit me up and I'll tell you what I know, and if I don't know it, I don't have a problem calling the vets that I deal with and getting you some answers. Hopefully real soon we will have a very reputable breeding specialist come on the Bully Rants and do a half-hour set here just to explain as much as possible. Until next time, peace.